So today I wanted to discuss the topic of feeling burnt out, but more specifically for women who feel overly stressed or burnt out, exhausted on a day-to-day basis without any real specific reason as to why. So there's nothing going on in their life that, outside of the norm should be causing them the feelings that they have for burnout. But nonetheless, they still are really struggling day in, day out to deal with that level of exhaustion. A lot of times, this kind of stress or burnout goes unnoticed. It becomes kind of an invisible emotional labor for women. Why? It's because we're still living our lives. We're still answering texts. We're still going to work. We're remembering people's birthdays. We're scheduling appointments. We're doing all the things that we're supposed to do. So from the outside, anybody looking in would just think, she's good. She's got everything taken care of. Invisible emotional labor is not just about doing tasks. It's about keeping track of or carrying responsibility for other people and other things all day. So emotionally, physically, psychologically, we're carrying a lot of the burdens of the other people around us, whether that be a partner, children, or people at work. These types of individuals will notice tension in the room, anticipate some sort of conflict coming their way, soften conversations if they need to be, try to regulate the mood in the room based on who is in that room with them. Over time, this hyper-awareness just becomes exhausting. People don't notice it from the outside because you don't look bad enough. You're not showing any signs of burnout because you're just managing day to day what you typically are used to managing. So you're the one, though, that is remembering who's upset with who. You're the one making sure nobody feels left out. You're the one that provides an emotional buffer for your family, or the mediator, you're a peacekeeper. There are so many different hats, if you will, that an individual like this puts on a day-to-day basis that a lot of times the people around them just get used to it. The hard thing about this is, again, a lot of women that take on this role learned to do so from a very young age, and probably from watching their own mother do it. It is not uncommon for women to be more emotionally attuned to other people, but it is not healthy in that same sense for a woman to take on the emotional responsibility of everybody else around them. Here's the problem that I have with this. It's not that being emotionally attuned to people is a problem, as much as it is that the people who are highly emotionally attuned to other people in the room tend to prioritize all of those other people over themselves. And that's where we get into sticky ground. The women who do this, what they find is that they are feeling more and more stressed and more burnt out because no one's asking them about them, because they're constantly there for everybody else, but they're not taking the time to, what I always say is, put their own oxygen mask on first in order to be the best help for everybody else around them. And they get so used to that they forget that they are also a priority and that they need to take care of themselves and prioritize themselves and ask other people to check in on them and talk to their partners, or, put in some boundaries as far as how much that they contribute to or invest in other people's emotional issues, or regulating the room and things like that if they haven't first prioritized their own self-care. I see this so much with moms, and I get it as a mom because we want to and we absolutely need to take care of our kids and make sure that they're okay. And our kids come first, right? But just like I tell any other mom, what good am I if I am drowning and I'm trying to hold my kids above water? What's going to happen is eventually we're all going to drown, right? What happens if I put the oxygen mask on them, or I'm working to do that and I'm out of oxygen? Then they don't get the oxygen either. So we have to prioritize ourselves as women, as moms, as friends, to make sure that we are aware of our own emotional boundaries, that we are also getting fed from other people checking in on us, that we take time to care for ourselves in order to be the best versions of ourselves for other people. Because this hyper functioning that we tend to do does not mean that we're healthy. It actually means that you are slowly drowning, struggling to keep your head above water, and everybody else around you doesn't see it because it's internal to you. This is one of the things that I think is the hardest about mental health, is that when we're struggling, like really struggling, and we have a lot of pain that we're dealing with, it's internal. So people around us don't see it unless we're sobbing and we can't stop, or we're yelling and we're angry. We carry a lot of these burdens around. Men, women, all people do this, right? But when we're hurting internally, it is something we carry on our own unless we are willing to talk to other people about the fact that we do need support and we do need care, and knowing that there's no weakness in doing that. What I want to encourage in this quick note today is just all women who feel like that emotional, invisible labor is on them and they haven't been prioritizing themselves, is that healing begins the moment you realize you were not meant to carry this by yourself. You were not meant to carry the entire room's emotions or regulate how people interact with each other all on your own. You're meant to prioritize yourself, to feed yourself what you need mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, physiologically, psychologically, in any way you can. You need to prioritize yourself so that you can then help others in need. But you come first, and you're not a bad person for doing that. As always, if this message was helpful for you, please feel free to share it with someone else who you think might benefit. And if you need additional help in finding out how you can learn to really be intentional about prioritizing yourself, therapy is a great option for that. So don't hesitate to reach out if you need to talk to somebody and you want to get into a better rhythm. That is what we are here for. All therapists, not just the ones in my practice, but all therapists can help you come up with a better system of prioritizing yourself to be the best version that you can be.